Hello? Hi, everyone. Can you see me and hear me okay? Can I get the microphone out of the way? I was hoping for a Marty appearance because he's just crawled up on me for a cuddle for the last few minutes. Thinking he's being unusually affectionate. And I remembered his food goes off at 4. He gets a little bit of dry food, so he is gone. Maybe he'll be back and we'll get to see him. Although Marty Cam isn't set up right now. I've been using the thing that holds the Marty Cam as holding the other camera I've been using. I don't think we'll need it for today. But I've just seen a button that lets me put markers on. Oh, they'll be in the video editor. That's a shame. I thought it might put them in like, the timestamps that put chapters in the videos. It'd be good if I could do that from here to say, hey, this is when it started. So I always have to find it later and I forget. Hi everyone, how's it going? Hey James, hey Sean, hey Jacob. How are we at the airport? That's the best flight to be on. Hey Matt. Hey Joel. AV good. Brilliant. Audio good. Seems a little dark. Is it a bit dark for everyone? I can lighten it up. All right, a minute. The color correction's not on. That's why. Boom. There you go. Is that better? Because when I film things, I turn that off so I can just do it in the video editor later. In case it's like a bit too saturated or something like that, I can just change it on the fly later on. That should be good though. Let me know if that's better. I've got some Black Forest cake. No, we haven't had. I've never had that. Rach would have some. Shouldn't train to Essen with Mr. Gaming rules. Maybe one day. It sounds like a more relaxed way to travel, a longer way to travel. But I'm like at the not the opposite end, but I'm like middle northish of the country and pulled way down south, so there'd be like a great big long train for me to get to him, then get to Essen. Maybe because it is like it's a pain getting a plane, not just for the luggage and stuff, but for how much earlier than the time you have to be there and all of the security and stuff. But hey, cause I think I have to be up at like 4 or something this Essen. Hey, the sacrifices, because I think there's only like you can either get the really early morning flight or you can get the like 7 in the evening flight, and then you got to stay another night. Who wants to do that? Much better. There you go. I forgot that element of it. You prefer pie over cake. I prefer cake, but I don't like pie. I like no, I don't like pie. I don't like pastry. I don't like savoury pastry or dessert pastry. So it's completely out. I think cottage pie, which isn't really a pie, is it? In a pastry sense. I still know what I'm into. Maybe that would be a good accompaniment to Black Forest. So, welcome everyone to Black Forest. This is the new game by Uwe Rosenberg, but this is co-designed by Tito Lorenz, who also he was the designer right of the Fields of All expansion. I think it's like that was his expansion, and Uwe is on it because he came up with the system and stuff. So this is I haven't got the story completely straight. It's something like this existed before Glass Road, and Glass Road is a smaller game that came out of it that to do that first. And then this sat around for ages and ages and ages until Tito came along and took the cards out. It was like similar to Glass Road in that respect of having cards, but then Tito has come up with this system that we're going to be using. It's kind of worker placement, worker movement, kind of. That will be placing workers in between two tradespeople and activating both of them on our turns. Similar to Glass Road in the sense that there was a load of things that like there was a bit of a everyone's mentioning a bit of a backlash to everyone's talking about Glass Road all the time because of the wheels, but it's nothing like it otherwise. I think it's very very like Glass Road, even with the tradespeople instead. They've got very much got the feel of Glass Road cards, and the buildings and stuff have too. But hey, we'll maybe talk about that later. Thoughts on it and that, because I've got Well, we've got one 3-player game as feedback. Yeah, Paul's like, where's the channel to? That's under, it's under London, isn't it? Paul's like southwest, like near the southwest tip of the country, and slap bang in the middle of it. Timeless Journeys has been cancelled. No, I haven't heard of that. Oh, that's gutting. It's really good. I'll have to have a look at it. I'll have to check in on that. Oh, you're a morning person. Yeah, Dusseldorf's quite good. It'd be cool because Essen's got an airport, right? But it's like really small, so things don't really fly into that. Hey, Olivia B, I'm glad you managed to catch one. Don't like any pastries. Creeps me out, but I'm funny about food. This is a beat your own score, so it's like there's a table in the rulebook that will tell you like in the solo game here's how well you did for reference of try and get the highest score. But I don't know how comparable the games are because so like you see before you an array of different buildings. There are I think 36. Yeah, there's 40 buildings in each game. There are 36 small buildings and 4 large buildings. The 4 large buildings will be potentially different every time. They are one-sided, but there's loads of them. In a 1 to 3 player game, you use 2 1s, a 2, and a 3. So we've got the great big ones, and then we've got the small ones. There are 36 of them. 10 of them each game are flipped to their B side. So, like, a potentially massive amount of variability from that, because you can get used to what they do, but that the key thing to your strategy might not even be there in a future game. And I'll say one thing for it straight away, that it feels a bit, when like first saw pictures of it and stuff and looked in the rulebook, it looked a bit Caverna, being like, oh, we got all of these buildings and they're all out straight away. I don't like that about Caverna. It's one of the reasons I don't like Caverna, although I'm tempted to give it a second chance. A separate stream though, maybe. Stream that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, the buildings, as you can see in these boards here, they are kind of segmented into the resources they involve, the resources they'll get you, or the resources they want you to have to get other stuff. So it's easier to kind of pick apart, like it recommends in the rule, but try and pick a couple of buildings that might chain together, start basing your strategy around that. You can see in the get the camera angles right, you can see in the large buildings that are available, there are other points getters. In fact, a lot of buildings will get you some points. But you can see these will be big things, like have adjacent buildings to this, 2 points for each one, and you could get a lot of buildings next to it if you want to go for a load of buildings. You want to have a load of livestock, you want to have a load of pastures with at least 2 pigs stroke cattle in them. General Hospital is just 10 straight up points, but it's expensive to build. Charcoal storage, 7 points gives you a different way of getting charcoal, and every 2 charcoal you have at the end of the game is worth a point. So you can start to see like which one of those am I going to go for? How am I going to base a strategy out of this? And then how am I going to make it happen? So in the main game, everyone has got a worker, and they will place their worker on the board somewhere on their first turn. And you will take actions either side of where you place that worker. These tradespeople are variable every game. They've got certain backs, but they'll get... Oh, that's in the wrong back. Well, I've just swapped them around for some reason. Everything else is right, isn't it? Yeah. Well, they were all checked. Yeah, they've got a particular back, and they will be shuffled up every game and then deal them on their spaces. It's paranoid now that they're all wrong, but now every other one has been right. Weird. It'd be those two. So yeah, that's going to change things up as well, and they can move in the game, which is a cool little thing as well. And in the future, you will either go to new spaces in the same town that you're in, that's free to do, or you might want to travel along paths, and that's going to cost you provisions, which is one of the big resources on the wheels in this game. So similar to Glass Road, we have the magnificent resource wheel, and we've got glass on one of them still. We have got provisions and commodities, the big thing on this wheel. And just like in Glass Road or Oranienburger Canal, as soon as you have a gap on the wheel, it makes the resource automatically. So how am I going to make a glass? Right now, I've just got to get one sand and I will get a glass automatically, but it will spend one of everything else on that wheel. So you've got to watch out for it as well, because maybe I'm just going to innocently get a sand because I want a sand. It's going to take away one of everything to make a glass, and then maybe I'm not going to have the resources I need to do something else I wanted to do. So yeah, provisions are used to move around. Commodities are a thing that we can do optionally at the start of our turn to swap this traveling merchant action. So this can be swapped with any other tile in the game. It'll move around, and it's you can get 2 of the same resource. Everyone else gets 1 of that resource. So yeah, you can move things around. That's why you want those commodities. In the solo game, it's a bit different because we don't have 1 worker to move around. We have 5 workers. Every round of the game, the game has a variable length. Usually the end of the game is triggered by somebody producing enough on this wheel to move past this point on it. That's going to trigger the end of the game for everyone in the multiplayer game. In the solo game, we have got 5 rounds only. And in each of those rounds, we'll get to place 5 workers. First worker, again, can go anywhere and doesn't cost you anything to go there. But everyone in the future, if you place in a village where there is already a worker, and this is true for the multiplayer game as well, you have to pay a resource. In the multiplayer game, it's to that player as well. So the basic resources on the right of your wheels, you have to slide it down by 1, pay that player one of the things. In the solo game, we're just spending them. You don't have to pay anyone, of course, but you'll lose in them still. So you can stay in the same village and pay for however many other meeples are already in there. Or you can go to a different village and you have to pay the movement cost of how many paths it took you to get there. We've got 5 workers. And so yeah, you've got to build up a plan. Like if you're going to go to loads of different villages, you've got to make sure you've got the provisions. If you're going to hang around the same one, you're going to be spending resources to do it as well. As we go through the game, jobs will appear either in the villages or in between them. They want you to spend a load of resources in one go to get a load of benefits from them. But generally, all of our points are going to come from getting new estates, buildings, and if we have pastures that are full of animals. A point per animal if the pastures have animals in there. So yeah, that's generally what we're going to be doing. So we've got 25 worker placements, hopefully, because if you can't do a normal turn, you might have to go begging. There's no feeding your family technically in this, but yeah, if you can't move anywhere, then you can kind of skip a turn to gain a provision. The provision's the thing that you use to move around a lot, so you don't want to do that. You might have to at some points. Hey, Moon Green, how's it going? You've never played Glass Road, James? It's on Board Game Arena if anyone's interested. Oh, that makes the microphone appear. It's on Board Game Arena. It got added a couple of months ago. I'd say maybe it's because we played like a 4 or 5 player game of it as well. Not ideal on Board Game Arena. Much better in person. But maybe we'll talk at the end at the virtues of the 2 games. But Glass Road's one of my favourite Uves. Pretty high up in games in general. But it seems like I didn't realise till I was on that pre-Essen stream with Paul that and we were with a couple of the guys from Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, that actually Glass Road's kind of divisive and a lot of people don't like it. Hey Frederick, shark oil? Don't think so. What's that? Oil from a shark? Most Uves have beat your own score as well, but they have this kind of cool thing that's like the cool thing in Nussfjord and Feast for Odin is this worker placement thing where you have 2 different colors of workers. So in round 1 you'll place on all of these spaces. In round 2 they stay blocked, so you can only alternate those actions round by round, and it's a really, even though you're just beating your own score in it, there's a really cool blocking system to that. And there is in this as well that you're blocking, you're blocking spaces still. You can never use that space twice in one round. But if you want to use the same village again, it's going to cost you resources like it will be in the multiplayer game. So let's have a look then. On your turn, you can optionally spend a commodity. I said to swap the traveling merchant with any other tile in the game. And so you can be using that to like either get another tile to you, to send that to where you are so you can use it. So there's some flexibility to where these tiles will end up. Then you can have movement. Again, in the normal game, you've just got one worker to move around. So we are going to have to go shark oil in the game. I don't know. Maybe. In this one. Charcoal. It might have been me saying charcoal. That sounds a bit similar. There is a building that's called charcoal storage. Right. So yeah, movements. We have got to think of a place to go first turn. I say that when I was setting this up, the thing that I've thought of so far is, and any of these could kind of work, but I was thinking animals, like livestock farm. Here could be something to build towards. In the solo game, you know no one else is going to jump in front of you and build it before you can. So I can plan to build that per adjacent pasture on this estate with minimum 2 animals. So if I get that, that means I'm going to want to concentrate on getting more pastures, more animals, worth a load of points. The pastures make the animals worth a point each. Usually they're not worth anything. So that's even more points in that. So if I want to go over there and get that eventually, what's going to help me get animals and pastures and things? Well, we can go and look on the building boards and say what's going to help me get pastures. The irrigation system here, if I built this, these blue buildings are anytime actions. I could pay 2 water to get a pasture or 4 water to get a pond. So that's something to think about. Clearinghouse could get me 1 pasture for building it. And you can see they're worth points as well. These numbers in the stars are points. Farm labourer house. Whenever you move, which action is that? The little symbols relate to the actions. They've all got little symbols in the middle here. Whenever you move... I was a travelling salesman. I was thinking it's a forklift. It's a big wagon, isn't it? Whenever you move the guy, which you can do at the start of every turn by spending a commodity, you get food for every field you've got to a max of 4. So that's something to think about. Getting animals themselves. Like, these are just one-offs, these grey ones. So the red ones are, when something happens, do this thing as well. I could get the Schonsland house with no points, but if I've got 2 pastures, get 3 cattle. That seems like something to have a think about later. The farrier turn charcoal into cattle. The breeding station for 1 to 4 livestock pairs, you get a matching animal per pair. That's where I could get more of them. The beechnut gatherer's hut, for every forest you can house 2 pigs, usually can only house 1, and you can put them in pastures later, and get a pasture. We've got to have glass for a lot of these buildings. Now, the leftmost ones are cheaper and don't tend to use glass. With the watering trough here, I could be using water to get pastures and pigs and cattle. That's something to think about. So if that's the case, and a load of water would be good, we can look down to the water section of the buildings. What could get me a load of water? Well, whenever you remove a forest, get a water. I could turn 2 wood into 3 water, or 1 food into a water. I think that's something to think about. Because one of the actions on the tradespeople later, for every cattle, get a food. Turn that food into water, turn the water into more pastures and more cattle. If you've got loads of cattle, you'll be getting more food. The most you could ever get, the wheels only go up to 7. So you can only ever get 7 of something. But that could work together quite nicely, couldn't it? 7 water could be a pig, a cattle, and a pasture, if you could get it up to that point. So when I get there, I want to get some cattle. I could get cattle from here. I could get a pig and a cattle from here. So that's something I could be thinking about. Hey, Jester. Top barn. So the technologies, these are going to be different every game. There's level 1, 2, and 3. 2 1s, a 2, and a 3 every game. And this is the same setup for 1 to 3 players in this board. This is the same for all player counts. There are 36 small buildings. In each game, you will randomly flip 10 of them to their B sides. And then everything else stays on their A sides. Or you can play an introductory game where they're all on their A sides. So there's 10 of these that are doing a different thing than normal. So I'm kind of thinking that. as a startup, oh yeah, like and subscribe, please. And hey, you could join me on Patreon. It's how I'm able to do this. This is not sponsored. It's safe to say that Spiel, at least, could not care less. Yes, Jacob's got it. So I could kind of make a little path here, couldn't I? If I go here first, I could pick up a pig and a cattle, and then go here and get a bit of wood stroke food from what I've done so far. So if I want to build the well, it costs 3 brick, clay. I've got 3. 3 wood, got it. 1 water, got it. And there is a building, so you place in between the 2 tradespeople. So I would be able to spend some stuff, get some animals, and do a building straight away. Is that where I want to start? How can I get more clay? Get a cattle and get a load more clay is here. I mean, the irrigation system wants a load of wood. How can I get a ton of wood? Oh, over here is wood. If we went here. Yeah. Tempting to start all the way up here too so I can get a pig as well. But I don't want to spend the wood. What if I start out here? Let's work out some mistakes later on. So I'm just going to start somewhere. So up here, I can either pay a food and a water or a brick and a water to get a pig and a cattle. I'm going to go for the food and the water because... Oh no, I haven't got a food. Okay. First problem then, how are we going to get the food? You could come here first, for every field get a food, but then you've only got 3 provisions, and so you'd place here, spend a provision to get here, spend a provision to get here, spend 1 to get here. You could do it. That'd be all your provisions spent, kind of turn 1. And as soon as you get, I would get 2 food. That would be okay. Oh, I'd make some more provisions getting a food too. I don't want to spend a wood though. I'm stuck already. And you could come all the way back here. Yeah, I want to get the pig. So I could either... If I come here and spend a wood to get charcoal, I'm not going to have the wood I want to build the building I want. If I come here, that will let me get the food and do the building. And maybe we don't need to get that. I want to spend a forest to get the stuff, though. I wouldn't mind doing that. Let's go there, then. So you can either, up here, based on your number of ponds, get meat. For 2 ponds, I would get 1 meat. Or... For every field, get a food. I'll get 2 food, and this is not optional. You must generate as soon as your wheels can. So I have spent 1 of that food straight away, but I've earned myself a commodity and 2 provisions now. So I could, if I really didn't want to do, if I really just wanted to do that and not one of these other things, I have a commodity now that I could swap this in to replace and get 2 of anything that I wanted. So that's one of the tradespeople. The other one is going to be do a building. And I think to get us started, yeah, we need to start earning the water before anything else. I am going to build that well. So that's 3 clay, 3 wood, that's all my wood, 1 water, nearly all my water. And I'm going to pop it here because my kind of idea is, what if I put the livestock farm here? I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 potential pastures next to it. This is never going to be like available space. I can put it on future estates if I get any, but then I can at most get 3 things next to it. This would maximize it the most. Same as if you would get in like the adjacent buildings, but then I've got to leave all this starting space free. It's probably not going to work out, but I'll try. I'll hope. So do the action, visit 1 or 2 adjacent tradespeople, or complete a job on your turn. No jobs yet until we've produced another time on this wheel and got it to move around. So next turn, get a different worker. So I could do something else in here, and that would cost me any resource. But I'm going to move along. So I haven't got any of the things I need, have I, to be able to do another building? I need clay. At least, so we're not going to go on either of these. I'll go here. I've got a food. I've got a water. We will get 1 pig and 1 cattle. So your cattle can go in your house. You got room for 2 of them. Your pigs can go on your forests while you've got them. 1 pig per forest. And the other one, for every pond, which at the moment is 2, get a sand. Okay then. Oh, and you didn't spend your provision. And you could, like, if you keep your provisions up there, that's a way of keeping that safe. So even if I earned more of these 2, the wheel can't turn because this is its max. So that's a little trick you can do as well. I don't know if I want to keep it up there. But there we go. We've spent that stuff. I've got my sand. I'm really running out of resources here now. So I think we're going to... I would like some water and stuff. But I think we're going to pay another provision for the next worker. So it's like, imagine that it's a worker that's moving in the multiplayer game, but in the solo game, to keep things blocked off and a bit tighter. I'm going to come over here. Let's get another cattle. Spend a charcoal. You've got charcoal on 2 wheels. When you're spending it, it can come from either or a mixture. When you're gaining it, it can only go on one of them. I want glass to be building more buildings later, but for now, let's spend the charcoal from here, get 4 clay. So that's one of the big building costs sorted. Wood is the other one, but we'll hopefully get some in a minute from here. And I've already got the cattle enter. Yeah, there we go. Do I want to do another thing here? I could get another... We haven't got room for another 4 clay, so that'd be a bit wasteful. Could get more ponds and things, but no. We're going to come to another town. And I do want to build, but I need wood first, don't I? If I want to turn, like... I'm going to get a bit of food here, but not too much. The wood will help things that I want to build for later. And we can just get more food from other things in the future. Yeah, if I come here, that's going to cost me another provision, which I think I've already spent. I'm going to spend this forest. So you can't throw these away. You have to do them as costs. You can throw the fields and ponds away if you want to. It's not efficient, but sometimes you're desperate to. So I can throw that away for 4 wood. Then, oh, it's either or. I could either have 2 food or 1 wood. Food I can turn into water, which later I can use to get more stuff. So I think I'm going to turn it into food, and it's more. Getting 2 of it is more into it. So there we go. I'm tempted to come here again. So then I could build a building. So it's my last action of round 1. Finish for the watering trough. I need 3 water, which we can get from getting more food. The wood I've got. I could build the watering trough. So over here, it would be tempting. Get 2 of a resource, spend 3 clay to move this glass marker up. So this glass marker, once it gets to the top spot, you get a new estate, which comes with 2 forests on it, more space to build, 2 points, another 2 places to put cattle, and your hut tile moves here because there's a thing that's explained in the game that, like, they would live somewhere and, like, use all of the resources, chop down all of the trees and stuff, and need to move their house to somewhere, like, useful again. So, like, that all happens, but yeah, you reveal the cattle space on your board, and then when it gets to the top again on this board, you get a new board, new forests, new space for cattle, more points. So yeah, I could spend 3 clay to move that up twice, because it would be nice to have more space to put cattle up. And you have the option here, you can either do a building or move that marker up. I can get a pasture from here. Costs a wood. Actually, I can get the building that will let me have more animals. But then we've got the little roadblock of I need somewhere to put them. And all of the buildings will move around before round 4. Something to the tradespeople. Something to mention as well. The thing I'm thinking about is, do I want to spend a commodity and swap these? I could, for my last turn, come up here. It will cost me a provision to move, and then I've got to think about earning more provisions then, though. I could get my marker for spending 3 clay. I could get it 3 up, and I would have space for cattle. But no, we can just build a thing later on. You just build a pasture. Don't spend that just yet. I'm going to come... I need 3 water, don't I, to build that thing. We could come here and build a pasture. But no, I'm going to come here. I'm going to go for the food again. Food for every cattle. And then I'm going to build... I do want to build the thing that gets me... the cattle, really. But what I'm going to do... We've got to think about getting meat and stuff. I'm going to build that irrigation system. So I'm going to put it down here, because that's not going to be adjacent anywhere to the thing I want. And then we will turn... I don't know why I went zoomed out for that. Turn 2 food into 2 water, which you can do at any time. Turn 2 water into a pasture. Oh, you want that? Like there or down here. And then you can move your animals freely. Like, suddenly, those cattle are worth a point each. And I've got space for 1, 2, 3 more now to do in a future round. So that's it for the first round. Pull them all out. So it's a puzzle of, like, the chain of buildings you're going to do, the chain of the tradespeople you're going to visit, in what order. Because, like, I want to do a similar path again. I want to get some more cattle and stuff. But now, I could get a food and a water. That's okay. Oh, you needed to spend... You haven't spent your wood or clay. Yes, things to do. I need a better source of getting food. I mean, turn these fields into food wouldn't be too bad a thing. You need 5 wood to get that. You could come here and get 5 wood. Oh, I visited the same space again. I needed to spend a resource. I was going to spend sand, because I'm not using it for anything right now. You can only do that twice unless you're going to get more fields later. But it's something that you could do. But as I get more cattle, I'll be able to get a steadier income of food. So in terms of provisions, we could sacrifice one of the animals for 2 or 3 meat. We don't need any right now to be going up there. So we've got 2 provisions still. We would earn more by getting meat. That would get you 1 meat. That's not a great return. Either giving up the animal or coming here for the meat would get you the most. So we can start anywhere again. What if I paid the commodity to swap this guy with this guy? And I pop here first, so I can spend a food to get a water, and then I have 1 food, 1 water. And now I've got to have food to get more provisions, though. We'll get more later. We've still got 2 to get over here. And that gets me a pig and a cattle. Now you've got no pig space. Oh well, if we get more food, we can build another pasture. Where are you going to build it? Fair point. And I can get 2 of anything. I feel like I should get meat. And as soon as we get food, it's going to get spent up making provisions and commodities, though. But that wouldn't be too bad to have then. But I'm going to spend charcoal in a minute. And then charcoal's going to get in my way. Because I want to do this again to get clay. Oh dear, I don't want to go begging. So we've got no room for more pigs if you went there. To get more... And you've got no wood right now to go and get that charcoal. We could stay in the same place for a bit. We'll maybe have other things to spend. I hope. Yeah, spend a provision to come over here again. Get a cattle that I'm kind of a bit full of now. Spend a charcoal to get 4 clay again. Could you do anything else in there? What did I have? 2. Not to build the thing I really want. I think I could have stayed in there and done and gone like here. And maybe built something, but what would I build? If I did that take back. I've not made any glass still. I'm nowhere near making any. I would only have had 2 clay. And practically no other resources. Could get 1 wood. No, I don't think that's a good idea. Then move here. This is going to give me a lot of resources. Yeah, so now I've got no provisions, no commodities. So if I come here first, I can have 4 food. Or 2 wood. So I kind of need both. I'm getting stuck for my animals, aren't I? No, because you can... Anytime, you can spend 2 food for 2 water. Spend your 2 water to get a pasture. And your pigs are safe. You want a pasture here. Or come this side of it. Yeah, and then, now these are empty, spend a forest to get 4 wood. And maybe next time we will go and get stuff. So I need charcoal if I want to move out of anywhere ever again. We might not be able to move out of here this round. Unless I want to spend a turn going begging, and I don't want to do that. So this would be a load more food again, and do a building. Don't really need to spend wood to build pastures. Yeah, the charcoal is going to be a really big problem because I haven't got commodities to swap that guy over again. Maybe I should have done another turn in there. Because I definitely want to do another one here. Hey, Teo. I have not scheduled to play Valencia. I did ask about it because I'm very keen, and because like the core game is the same still, like the 3 player plus experience, I think is very very similar. So they're focused on like getting the prototype ready for Chichen Itza because it's a brand new thing, which makes sense. Hopefully, like I don't know if it will be kind of in prototype form when the Kickstarter is going. Maybe it will be when the final game is out because I'm very keen to play Stefan Valencia because it's Strasbourg, a game I've never played because it was 3+ players. So it's for me, it'll be a brand new Stefan Feld game because it's getting a 2-player version, which I'm excited about, but nothing on the schedule yet. I'm keen though. So yeah, am I just gonna have to spend like 3 more turns in here? 2 more turns because you didn't get any charcoal. I think you are, but I don't really need. So if you're gonna get more wood, you want to spend some first and do some building. So like, I want to build this eventually, but that's going to need loads of glass. Oh, turn your phone off. Oh, if we got 5 wood, we could build that grain mill. And that would be nice, because I'm planning on getting rid of both of these. Should build the forest side herder's hut for the charcoal. Oh yeah, whenever I go to... Oh yeah, I'm going here all the time, aren't I? That's a good idea, actually. I should probably... I didn't have the wood last time. That's a good idea. I like that. And we could build other things later. Great idea. Yeah, the forest side herder's hut. 1 clay, 3 wood. Whenever we go to the thing I'm constantly going to, get a charcoal. And that means I get a provision. Oh, solved it. There was an answer all along. So, yeah, we'll build first. Clay, 3 wood. Then, for every cattle, get a food. I'll have 4 food, please. And whenever you visit this dude, get a charcoal, which makes this, which knocks this. So, when this is knocked, usually everyone's got one of these. I can have any normal resource that I like. Think about that in a sec. But we also reveal, usually it's just 1 each, but there's 3 out all the time, I think. So in the solo game, you reveal 3. And the little symbols tell you where they're going to go. You find that symbol eventually. There we go. So you see, this is another location you have to spend a provision to come out to. If you can spend 7 clay, you will get... Is this going to be on camera? Yes. 3 charcoal, 3 water, 3 meat, a glass, and 2 fields. So, need to have built up a lot of one thing, but you'll get loads of other stuff as your reward for it. Out here, we can spend 7 food to get a glass, a forest, a pond, a pasture, and 3 pigs. And where are you? Oh, you've got a craftsman symbol on you, so you go in the town where that craftsman is. If you have 7 charcoal, you could get 4 clay, 4 wood, a glass, and a cattle and a pig. Okay, so now we've got commodities and provisions. Oh, and I need to get a standard thing. Is clay something you can get? So if clay's a resource you could get, I could swap the commodity. Oh, I need to pay a thing for being in here again. I'm going to pay a sand, which currently... I say currently I don't need. I will need it. And my way of getting it, I'm kind of going to be throwing away these fields. Can I get clay from that? You can't get glass and brick rather than clay. Yeah, that's a basic resource. I'm kind of thinking... Oh, if I stayed in here... If I stayed in here, I'd have to pay 2 resources because there's 2 people in here. So that's probably not a good idea. I probably do want to move on. But where to? It's like I'm close to having 7 clay, and that's some big rewards there. I don't know where I'd put those 2 fields, but somewhere. I'm only 2 off, and I could get 2 from this, which I could swap into somewhere. Unless we got a lot of, we don't need a lot of food. Oh, we could have a lot of food. We only need 2 more food, and you could be getting that. Like it's a turn, and you've got to go there. But that's something to think about. So I can get 1 thing for revealing that. It's not going to give me enough to do either thing. But the action gets you 4 clay. So what if I took clay, spent it to move my hut marker up a bit, because I'm going to need more space. And then next time we can be coming here to get 4 clay to get to the 7. Maybe start here. Get your clay. Do your stuff here. Do that job. It would be nice to just have the stuff and go to the job. Yeah, because I don't necessarily need to do a lot of other stuff instead. I'm going to spend a provision then. I will want sand at some point. You could start here and do the job if you got 7 food. Pay a commodity to swap here. I'll take 1 clay as the thing from revealing the jobs. I'll take 2 food here. I've got 7 food. I'll pay 3 clay to push this marker up 2. 1 more, and we get a new tile and stuff. That's round 2. Round 3. So what if we start here, and I do want food for stuff. Ah, I've got no space to put all of this stuff in. That's a great idea you came up with, but where are you putting all of that? Just start throwing these things away. You need your hut thing to go up, really. Like, it's not a problem, just leave it. We could kind of work our way around here, but we'd need... You'd get a charcoal for visiting here, and then you're running out of meat, but that'll give you meat and charcoal and stuff. And you've got loads of food to be making more provisions. Okay, then, think about that later. First of all, then, we'll go here. Here? Yeah, this side. So I'm not going to do a building, I'm going to move that up. This gets me the new estate board. You go there, marker goes to the bottom again. 2 new forests, 2 new space for cattle. I have 4. Well, that gets you food, though. And you want clay first. Ah. Oh. And you've got no charcoal. to go and get clay. That's a daft idea you had. We could get 2 wood instead, but that's not as good, is it? More pig. Yeah, we could put the pigs into the forest at any time. Or I do want wood though. But I'll come here later to get more wood. I'm gonna. So how much food are we getting? 4. We'll turn food 1, 2, 3, 4 into water. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can gain the 4 food. Fine. Then I get a charcoal come in here. I'm going to take it on this wheel because that's going to make provisions and commodities and that. I am going to come here, which is a provision. Are you? You could get 2 water for coming here. Cattle's better. Get a cattle. You haven't got a charcoal. Oh, man. You've got space now to go and get that, though. Yeah, but I'm going to get the charcoal. Right, what if you had the charcoal on this? If you have the charcoal on that wheel, it's going to make a glass. Ugh. Right, maybe we're not coming straight there, then. Have I just spent a provision? It'll all work out. It'll all be great. Okay, come here then. You got to pay something for being here twice. Pay a sand. I'm going to need glass, though. Pay water. You can make water. Yeah, pay a water. So we got a charcoal the first time. I'm going to get a charcoal another time, but it's not going to make it now because I haven't got enough meat. We'll get 1, 2, 3 water again and gain 4 food from this. Pay a forest, no problem, to get 4 wood. This turn, we'll move over here, get a cattle. Pay a charcoal, which I now have, to get 4 clay. Be at max. Since we're next to it anyway, I'm going to come here to pay me 7 food to get a glass, a forest, a pasture that I'll put up top, a pond I'll just kind of slide over, and 3 pigs. Which I can, like, so they're a point each in here. And they're hopefully all going to count for building that livestock farm if I ever get to it. Because we're nearly at the end of round 3 of 5. But all this stuff's going to shuffle around and maybe that's going to change everything. I've got a commodity as well if I want to swap around. So now, I've got 2 provisions left. And it would cost me 3 to get over here, so that's going to have to wait. I don't know if we're even going to do that. We're going to have to move, though. I can get that watering trough now and get more and more things. I've got 5 wood if I wanted to build the grain mill. So there's a building thing here, and it wouldn't be terrible to get rid of a forest. Or we could come right here. Like, I would need to get the clay back, but it's tempting to move my hut up again. We're going to be short of meat. Maybe it's worth coming here and giving up one of the cattle. We can make more. We can, in fact, like, if we built that breeding station, that's 2 glass to build. That's expensive. I'm going to pay the commodity to swap these. I think that's back to where it was, isn't it? And come here. So that's going to cost a provision to move there. Pay 1 of these for a wood and this grain mill. So I can turn 1 of these into 3, because I want to get rid of these 2 anyway, no matter what. And I can afford to just build that. And then 2 of the same thing. Oh, that cost 5 wood. And we'd have a wood to go and get this next time, wherever it ends up, to get us charcoal for stuff. Maybe meat. Get meat as 2 of the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't add job. That's that goes, and I should have revealed another one. This might have changed things. Pay 3 fields. Where's this guy going? Pay 3 fields to get 2 pastures, 2 pigs, 2 cattle. Bit late for that. Maybe early on that would have been a good thing, but they don't come out like that early on. Hey Jeff, how's it going? So now, for round 4, we completely rearrange them, right? We shuffle them all up. Yeah, remove all of them and place them as in setup. So, the board's getting jumbled about. The jobs don't move. Just like the tradespeople move about by you swapping the traveling merchant with them as well. But the jobs don't move. There's only ever 3 on the board. We will reveal more if I do more. That's a shame, because I suppose I only need to get 1 more field to fulfill that, but I've just built something that's got a use for me. Fields. So I'm just going to shuffle the big stack. Hopefully stop revealing and dropping them as I go. And let's see what we get. So you're the first one. Owl. I knew there was 1 the wrong way up. There's 2 the wrong way up. So I don't need clay right now. But maybe, like, if we went to the job first and then came out from clay, we've got space for stuff now. Just for solo, you replace the people. Because, like, in a game with more players, you would... Especially as the game goes on, at this kind of point, there will be more people swapping that commodity, the traveling merchants, around, and swapping the tiles about, just to get good pairings. It's a good thing to... Sometimes you want to go to that, but sometimes swapping that traveling merchant around will put 2 other things next to each other that you might want. Oh, the charcoal guy's still up there. That's far away. You're owl. Mouse. The last mouse one. Fox. Fox. Oh, he stayed in the same place. Owl. Owl. Fox. Fox. Owl. Boom. Okay. Now the plan. So we need charcoal so we can keep getting provisions to move. Unfortunately, the charcoal stayed right up there. I don't have a commodity to swap that dude over. So I'm tempted to just start there and get the charcoal. Get the charcoal on a couple of things. We could do a build coming down here and a cattle, which isn't ideal, but it's summer. I'd get a commodity if I got the charcoal, though, as well. So I want to build my way down to here and get this clay used. Getting more clay kind of is on the way as well if I did spend it to do a build. Right, then start out here. Pay a wood to get 4 charcoal. So it's got to be all on the same wheel. How am I getting all the glass to build this livestock farm? If I don't build that, I don't know what I've done for the rest of the game. So yeah, I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 charcoal on that. At any point, I can get rid of a field. I'll get rid of this one, because this is like the next place a pasture wants to go. For 3 wood. And suddenly, we're in the provisions and commodities. Got 5 provisions, 2 commodities. And I can get 2 of something. I will go for charcoal on this wheel. Oh, he's still there as well. Well, you get charcoal from going there. What about sand? You're rubbish at getting sand. But the sand thing is there. No. Sand. Okay. Spend a provision. Next dude will go. So that's 1 meat or 1 food. So we'll go here. I'd rather have a cattle. But you're going to have to spend 2 water. I could be getting more ponds as well and making that more profitable if I want. But I want pastures. To get a pasture so we've got space for the cattle. So gain a cattle. And spend a forest to get a wood and build something. The problem is, it's going to spend the clay I need for this. I can get more clay, but I'm not going to spend 4 in a build, am I? Am I? The Knight's Manor, 6 points, -1 for every empty space. I'm filling in a lot of spaces. You cost 4 clay, which I could get right back. The thing I want, the watering trough to get more animals, only costs 2 clay. Oh, thanks, Jacob. Thanks for joining in. I think it's gone alright, hasn't it? A plan kind of emerged. I'm trying to look at things that cost 4 clay. I've got 1 glass as well. I can just overflow on clay and make it be a bit of a waste. Whenever you gain estates, get 3 sands. It's lovely stuff. On loads of these. I mean, the watering trough is kind of central to what I want to do, isn't it? There are only 1 cattle off from being at max first, but then we can just get more pigs and stuff. The watering trough's probably not as essential as once it was. With enough water, we could maybe be putting pastures down to fill in empty gaps. You want 2 clay. We'll get more clay later, though. I haven't got 4 wood, though, to do that Knight's Manor. The watering trough I'm kind of set up for. Yeah, go for that watering trough. and we'll just overflow on clay and just... That'll have to be that. So 2 clay, 1 wood, 3 water to build the watering trough, and I think I've done all of the things on that. Pay a provision. I mean, we could move the traveling guy here and just get the 2 clay. So at the moment, what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What if we spend this to get a water? Oh no, you need 3 water for a cattle. That's a shame. Let's not do that then. Okay, so I've got 6 cattle, 6 water. Put me on max. And then 2 of anything, I'll just gain clay. Because there's no... Then I don't have to spend the charcoal to do that. I don't know if it's a good idea putting it up there. 1 provision to go here. Spend me 7 clay to get 3 meat. Let's do the easy ones that there's not 2 of. 3 water. A glass. And 2 fields. To be honest, probably just going to get turned into food, which will get turned into water, which will get turned into the cattle. That's big, big points. So you'd rather be in here because you're worth a point in there. And then as soon as the thing gets built in there, that's, I think, max points for what that could be. Because it's got to be on the estate. Adjacent things on the same estate. Right? Although there would be the same number of adjacent things, even if it was multiple estates. I think 4 is the most you can get. And then charcoal. Where do you want your charcoal? Oh, this gets made straight away because you left a gap by spending a provision. Here we'll keep making provisions. And this is worth points as well. You see this wheel turning. This is making it worth points. We do want more glass made. I need 1 more glass to get the livestock farm, so we're not going to be doing that right now. But I'm probably going to come here next time. Have the charcoal here then, so you're ready. You could make the glass very soon. But if you get 3, that's too much. You don't want that much glass making. Have it here. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Hatchim, how's it going? How are things in Portugal? So last thing, I'm going to spend a provision from here. Actually, just spend it from here. Why not just make more? To come back in here, spend something. I'll spend food for coming in here again. And, oh, first of all, you need space, don't you? Because you're going to get 6 food. Let's spend 1, 2, 3 water on cattle. There's 7. And let's spend all of our 4 food getting 4 water. Then for the action, that's going to give me a charcoal. Did I get the charcoal last time? I might have. I can't remember. I'll assume I did. Forest to get 4 wood. Got no forest left now unless I move this back up again. And then that will give me the 3rd glass that I need. So I need 1 wood and 2 clay to be able to build my livestock farm here for big points. And the Knight's Manor is probably a good thing. I don't know if I can get that much more wood and clay and stuff later. So that's all of that done. That's round 4. The final round. Oh, and new job, actually. I completed you. So new job is going to be where the brick man is, which I've just put up here. Actually, before I did that... Oh, no, I did that before I went and did the job. If I can get 7 wood, I can trade it for 5 clay, 4 water, 4 sand, and 1 glass. Okay. So things we need to do. Going there is just nice because it's 7 food a time and loads of other stuff. And it might be a good place to start because I can be turning all of the food into things whilst getting wood here. I could swap this for potentially a build action and do the livestock farm. I also need clay, don't I? Well, come here and get the clay. Come here and get the wood. Go in a different direction and get the build to do that, and then maybe we'll build something else later. That's a plan. So here, the 2 clay. And 7 food, please. I'm going to spend 2 water getting a pasture. And now I've got 7 cattle. I might as well just have pigs, ain't I? Like the breeding station, it costs glass, is the downside of the breeding station. Because I've got 4 livestock pairs. I could get 4 more things, and they're a point each if they're in pastures. So we could just spend 2 to get a pig. Then spend 7 food to get 7 water. Oh, actually, I should have only had 6 food, because as soon as I gained that food... Oh no, it wouldn't have made it, because we're at max for provisions and things. And commodities. Oh, you haven't got a thing, though, to get the wood? You haven't got a forest? How much wood do we need? 1. Okay, then. Spend a commodity. Oh, get a charcoal, too. We'll have it here. Do you want it there? You just don't want it to spend a glass unexpectedly. I don't think it will. Spend a commodity to swap these 2 around. And we'll just do the same again. We'll have 7 more food. 2 wood this time. You've got to pay something for being in the same place again. Spend the sand, I think. No, maybe you will make 2 more glass. Spend the food. And you get a charcoal again. Okay. So you're just the standard build. So I want to build that. I'll have a wood left. The breeding station is potentially a load of points, isn't it? If I got more wood, if I got 3 more wood, I'd be able to make some more glass. But there isn't a great way of getting more wood without forests. You haven't been putting this up to get new estates. So I don't know if another build's going to be in the cards. Yeah, the Knight's Manor is 4 clay, 4 wood. I'm going to have no clay, no wood. I'll be able to get clay. Wood is going to be my shortfall now. And I've only got 3 workers. 3 more actions to do stuff with. I kind of want to spend provisions so I can make more, because that's going to be points as well. I've got charcoal, so I think... Hey, Neil, how's it going? So what if I spend 2 provisions, 1, 2, to come up here? You automatically make. Because that's going to be 8 points at the end. So build this before we forget. 3 glass, 2 clay, 4 wood. And that will make a glass. So we could potentially make stuff that doesn't need much or any wood. So we're going to make clay in a minute. Livestock farm. Oh, before you do that, let's turn a food into a water and turn this field into 3 wood instead of just throwing it away. You can throw away the fields and ponds. Then that's a livestock farm built. So for every adjacent pasture with at least 2 things in it, so that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8 points on top of the points I'm going to get for those pastures. So that's kind of what my whole thing is hinging on. Then spend a charcoal, please. Turn it from there to get 4 clay. Maybe that would have been a good thing to come to at some point, spend the 3 fields that way instead. But I think for the food is worth it too. So, if I got a wood, I would have 2 glass. Points things. Set of pasture, field, pond in your domain, 2 points each. I would have 2 sets. That seems kind of pricey. Because I can move the commodity thing next to a build action. So I kind of want to spend them and get some meat. Get some meat. What about 2 more actions? Thinking points. Building another one of these, that's going to need 3 more glass. That's going to be too much, I think. Why isn't the Knight's Manor possible? I think that's totally possible. For 6 points, you've got the clay. You just need 4 wood. It's going to take longer than it should, but you'll be able to get the wood from the travelling merchant, really. Right, spend 2 water to get a pasture. There's 2 cattle space in there as well. It's just they're worth no points if they're in there. Then commodity. Swap these over. Spend a provision. Which can't move just yet, but if I got a meat at some point, I'd be able to. And I'll spend a food and a water to get a cattle and a pig. Pig there, cattle there. And oh, but if you gain 2 wood, it's going to make you a glass. Oh, that last charcoal you gained then, say it came from this wheel. Okay. So I was thinking I might have needed the glass at some point. I don't know, maybe this is an inefficient way of doing things still. So then, pay the commodity to swap these round. And I'll pay... Can I come the long way? Have you got to always come the shortest way? I remember actually, because usually I'd always want to go the shortest way. You must always choose the cheapest path available. So it's only going to cost me 1. I'd like to spend more so I can make more here. And we will get... We'll spend a pig for 2 meat, which will generate stuff for this. So this is going to be worth 10 points at the end. And then I'll get 2 wood. No, do a cattle instead of a pig. For an extra meat. Then, I'm going to pay another commodity to swap this so I can come to it again. I'm going to come here. This doesn't cost a provision, unfortunately, but I'll just go somewhere miles away for the last action. Wherever that's going to be. Maybe going to be... No, I can't swap. I can't go to this again. So we need to spend some stuff first. Spend 1, 2, 3 food to get 3 water. And then get 1, 2, 3 pigs. I don't think I need the water right now for anything. Because they're worth a point each. If they're in a pasture. Then the build. I want to build the Knight's Manor for 4 clay and 4 wood. That's going to be worth 6 points, -1 for every empty space. I was going to clear these out, though. It'll be okay. And then... Oh, turn your 2 food... Oh, no. That... Yeah. Turn your 2 food into water. Because then here, I'll gain a charcoal and 7 food, please, for 7 cattle. And then the last thing I want to do, I want to spend 2 provisions wherever I'm going so I can make them and get the points. I don't think I've got stuff to afford building. Unless something's just going to cost me water. You've got a glass. It costs like a glass and a water. Doubt it. I mean, the fort is a glass. X bricks. X equals other players. None. And a wood. A glass and a wood for 3 points. Usually its ability is you don't pay resources to others when entering a village. I could have built that, couldn't I? That could have been useful, actually. Because I'm still paying resources for going to a village again. Which I don't think I did for this. I'm going to pay sand, because I don't need more glass. So your last 2 actions would be going here and building then. Breeding station would have been a good thing to do. Ran out of time, though. You can't do everything. Yeah, I can't see a better option. So let's pay a commodity then. Swap these 2. And then I'm going to move 1, 2. 1, 2. Oh. I want to move more than 2, don't I? I want to spend 3, really, to make all of this stuff. I think it's okay, though. Turn a forest into 4 wood if you have 7 cattle. That would have been a good thing to have as well, the ox stable. Just generating kind of infinite wood, but you'd have to keep getting these. You have to keep making your progress. And there is a build-in turn meat into progress in your glass hut, but then where am I making meat from? That's a different person's strategy, isn't it? So I don't think, do we get points at the end for... We do get points at the end for glass. So it's okay to have leftover as well. I think if there's anything better I can do. Getting a couple of cattle there is 2 points to me, isn't it? Just come here. Stick with that idea. 2 wood. Do a building. Fort. But then the building's only worth 2 points, isn't it? Because you're spending a glass to make it. Because getting these 2 is worth 2 points. Rather than making a building. Swap it. Instead of swapping them, swap these. And come here. If we're only going to be spending 1 provision anyway, to make that. And instead of gaining wood, just gain water. Spend a food and a water to get a pig and a cow. And then we will spend 2 water to get a pasture. And the food to get a water. We'll spend... Oh, so you guys can go in there. We can spend 2 to get another pig. And now, if I turn this into 3 food, I'm losing a point unless I put a pasture in there. So I would get 6 food, which is 6 water. I'd have to spend 4 of it to put pastures out. And then I could have a pig. So it would be a profit, wouldn't it, in points? It would be a 1 point profit. Which isn't huge. But it's something, isn't it? Yeah, turn these 2 into 6 food. We'll just do it one at a time. Food, turn all of that into water. Turn the other one into 3 food. And then 2, 4 to get 2 pastures. Oh, I didn't think I'd need this many. Where have I put the other pastures? It's into all of them, is it? I know, here's my bag of pastures. Two can be a pig. Turn your remaining 3 food into 3 water. 2 more pigs. I think that's the best we can do, short of throw. If we could throw away some of these, I would have left a food so we could have made another thing here. But we've got 10 over here, which is quite nice. So end of the game. You score in airs, is it? Which tent is it on the other side of it? It's this one. I've just lost a tile off the table. I need to remember that at the end. So, at the end of the game, you get points for a point per glass. 1. 2 points per estate. 1, 2. You have points for this wheel for making stuff on here. 10. I'm on right now. 3. A point for every cattle or pig on a pasture. So that's going to be 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23. Going to be most of my points. And then points on your buildings and end game buildings. So on buildings, we've got 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 12, 17. And endgame points. 2 points per adjacent pasture with a minimum of two things on it. 2, 4, 6, 8. And -1 for every empty estate in your domain. Empty space in your domain. None. Yeah, estates are the separate tiles. Domain is your whole thing. These aren't empty spaces. These are like your... They're not pastures. I don't know. Enclosures? Something like that. They're not empty. Because some things... I think we had it in this game. Oh, maybe it wasn't in this game. Maybe it was the other side. Per adjacent empty space. Like, these aren't adjacent spaces. So, 61 is quite... gone quite well, I think. 61 is Glass Hut Master. 70 points would have been Duchess. That's story of my life, that is. Never the Duchess. But I think that's pretty good. That's pretty close. So yeah, the changes for every other game. There are a load of big buildings. Not like a million of them, but plenty of different ones. You'll have 2 1s, a 2, and a 3 every game. I think the 2s have all got different costs, but they just get you points. They just get you 10 points. I think I'm right in saying. They're slightly different costs, but they get you 10 points. The 1s, so we saw pro-adjacent building, the pasture thing was a 1. Could be every pond is worth a point, but you can only build this when you have at least 3 ponds. Hardware store for every set of clay and wood get a point. Farm store, every meat is worth 2 points. You can kind of see, like, based on what's come out here, what's the setup, is the configuration of buildings, because there's 36 small buildings, 10 of them are flipped over, which is going to change, like, what they could have done. So, like, even just looking at the things on my board, like the irrigation system here, which I used to get all of the pastures, if this had flipped to be the other side, it would just be an instant thing. On all adjacent empty spaces on the estate, you can have a pasture or a pond or a thing. So no cost, but it's just an instant thing that goes off. The well that I used to get all of the water to do stuff could have just been the system. Whenever you move to the village with the... That's not the butcher. Oh, with this guy. They got you meat or food. I think we used at the very start of the game. Whenever you move to the village with him, so you don't have to go to him, just the village that he's in, get 2 water. The grain mill, instead of turning a field into 3 wood, just immediately get some of these things. So yeah, you can see, like, this engine would not have worked. So, like, with a different configuration of villages, it might not have worked. But yeah, without, if any of these buildings had been flipped over, it couldn't have been as efficient with those things. The Knight's Manor, instead of getting those points, whenever you visit the Scythe Man, oh, this one, building pastures or fields, as your first tradesperson, you can spend 2 water to visit anyone as your second guy. That's pretty cool. You see, like, a load of variety in all of that stuff as well. And yeah, the 3s would be different as well, like points for fields, but also a way of getting more fields by spending food, but you have to have got 4 fields already. Points for sand, and a way of turning things into sand. Extra points per estate. But you can't gain any more estates when you've built this. That's interesting. And instead of moving your bead, you get meat instead. It's like, you see, like, they change all of the things up, as well as all the small buildings being different. So plenty of variety in it. Favorite Uwe for solo now? Probably still Feast for Odin. But I don't know, like, I really like Agricola solo as well. Like, partly because Rach hates Agricola. Hates it. But I love it. And so, like, I love puzzling out just those... I don't need a draft or anything. Getting those 14 cards at the start and seeing, like, how any of that's going to boil down to some kind of strategy. I love that so much. But I love, like, the freedom and the expansiveness as Feast for Odin. But I am bad in that for... I find it hard to change from my path of, like, going raiding and pillaging and stuff and turning a load of greens into blues with that 1 upgrade action stuff and filling the board easily that way, and going for, like, the same islands and stuff. Like, so it's been cool playing a couple of games on Board Game Arena, because, like, other people being in there makes you do different things, because they're going to go and get in your way for doing that. Whereas in the solo, you're getting in your own way, but it doesn't stop you from going for a particular strategy. Yeah, it'll be one of them probably still for favourite. Nusfield though as well. Like I haven't played Nusfield for ages, and I've been holding off for that for the big box, which I didn't get in Essen because it's just out now. You can just have it, and I have ordered it. Like if you go into GridCon, there's a discount code for Games Law, so I've ordered it to pick up there. So I'm going to be playing a load of Nusfield, I imagine, after the middle of November when GridCon is. I need to play Hallertau as well. I haven't played Hallertau for ages since I did the playthrough for it. It could be like it probably wouldn't be number one though. I think it'd be Beast Rodin and Agricola fighting it out. But like Black Forest. So I am in what seems like it might be the minority now. Me and Rach love Glass Road. Maybe because it's a bit different with two players. The rules are a little bit different. And like if you haven't seen it, I've done a solo playthrough for it, but the solo experience it's still a fun game solo and still like puzzly and stuff. But the card system, like it works and you can play it solo, but it kind of relies, it wants you to have other people to interact with because it's kind of like you have a great big hand of cards that everyone's got the same of. You take so many of them into the round, like 5 of them or something that you choose into the round, but you'll only play say 3 of them. I might be getting like the particular numbers wrong on that. Like you'll take a subset in and you'll only get to play a few of those. When you play a card, if no one else has played it, you get to do both of the things on it. But if someone else has played it, they have to play theirs for free now, and you both get to do one of the sides of it. You could both pick the same one if you want, or different ones. So there is an element of trying to see what other people are doing, so you can pick the cards that they're probably going to play, because you'll get more cards. That doesn't count as one of your cards played if you play it on someone else's turn. So to get more cards played in that way, but also if you're going a particular way, you want a load of cards to come out, but if somebody else plays that card ahead of you, you have to play it at that time, which might be a terrible time for you. Or like other people are going to be thinking you're going to play that card, so I want to bring a different card that might do a slightly different thing, so that because I want both of the things on it. I don't want you getting in my way in that. It's such a unique thing as well. Like we love the system, and there is nothing in not just Uwe's games. There's kind of like the mind games of say like which phase are they going to choose in like Roll for the Galaxy or Raising Robots or a phase kind of game like that. But yeah, Glass Road does it in completely its own way. So I wonder if like I've enjoyed Black Forest, but there is kind of a bit of a fuddy-duddy thing hanging over it that I know like Rach felt even more than me, that like we love Glass Road so much. What reason would we have to play this over it? And I wonder if like a big thing for that is going to hinge on if you didn't like Glass Road, like a lot of people seem to dislike that card mechanism. If you didn't like it, Black Forest is going to be an enormous plus for that. Because like it's a cool system as well, like this worker movement thing, and I've got to have these provisions. I've got to be making stuff on this wheel, not just for points, but to be able to move my dude around here. The jobs is a cool thing as well, having these like little side missions that pop up. Like maybe I would have given up 5 of my cattle to get all of this stuff on all of my rings. Like seeing them pop up and like, oh, how far away from that objective am I? Like, shall I divert to try and do that job? I've got to spend a whole turn going to it and doing it as my action though. But if I get all of this resource and then someone gets there before me, what am I going to do with all of that stuff? Like it does its own things like nicely and well, and like moving this around is cool as well, that like change the pairings up, and the idea like of going to these two things. What did you say, James? The Crown of Amara, like and what was the one that I played? It came out last Essen, but I played it really late. Sunavalo is set in the same world, and yeah, it was last year's Essen game, and they co-designed it with Odie and I can't remember the co-designer's name now. But yeah, there was a game there where we placed a tile between 2 tiles to try and get 2 actions, but I think you could only do the double action once in a round. Yeah, like it's a really interesting system, and like having the people in there, and I don't want to pay I don't want to pay you an extra resource. Like in the normal multiplayer game, if you're already in a city and I want to move there, I've got to pay you a resource. So not just pay like the resource like I was doing in this, I've got to give it to you. So that is like that's another thing for the multiplayer, getting like a proper final thoughts thing here. Don't normally do any of that anymore. Oh, I do a bit. Um, Number one, like Rach, my wife, will play all of. If I'm not playing it solo, I'm playing it with Rach, pretty much. Rach does not like in any games paying other players for things. Like, would rather just completely avoid that. Like, once she saw like the fort was a possibility, kind of like her objective was suddenly, okay, then I'm just gonna get the fort built because I don't want to deal with that. I want to deal with paying you a thing because like there is like the usual thing of, oh, I'm giving you like, say in other games, I'm giving you a money and stuff. That's just good for you. The bit so that you're like trying to figure out a resource that's not as useful for you, but looking at their wheels and their strategies, a resource that's not going to be so good for them. Like you can see what they need. Like if someone had been giving me food or water in this game, that's perfect. That's just going to completely help me do my thing. You could also use that, which I don't like in a way as well. Like in Glass Road, it's just you getting the stuff, and sometimes like the cards, as I said, will be played in the wrong order, and that will mess you up, and you might not want those things doing. It might completely make you waste a card play, unfortunately. But yeah, you gaining the resources at the wrong time in this. I desperately need a sand to build this building, so I'll go and gain 2 sand. Oh, that's great, but unfortunately, the glass is now going to make so you don't have any of that. You've still got that to think about for whenever you're gaining these resources, but in the multiplayer game, so that cost of you paying everybody that's already in the village that you're going to, you could deliberately give them a resource to like make them make that stuff. The stuff is still useful for them. Like having glass is going to be worth points, and it's useful for all of the better buildings. Having provisions and commodities is massively useful to help you get about and stuff. But like there are times when that is going to cost you 3 or 4 resources. So like it could suddenly be that, oh, I needed for this building, I needed wood and water and charcoal, and now like all of it's been. I needed one of each of these things. Like maybe it's not going to be exactly that, but you could set someone back like quite a way with that. But bigger than that is the 2-player game has this extra thing that I know like Rado has already like, and there's been threads on Board King Geek as well of the Care Bears uniting of the 2-player variant to tighten things up, introduces an extra pawn of nobody's colour that gets put on the board. And so whenever anybody does the commodity action to move this guy, like I did, you must also move this neutral marker to a space of your choice. So I am like the job then for me when I do that is to look at your board and think about like what you've been doing. Where can I put this that's either going to be the exact spot you want, so you can't have the pair of things anymore. You can probably still have one of the other actions. Maybe you can swap this guy to try and get a pair that you like still. You can still do all of that. But also, even if you just want to come into this village, now I've cost you an extra resource in that, which for the neutral player is just going to go back to the supply. But that's going to get in your way. Like it's a thing introduced in a game that otherwise, like there is that little potential I thought of there for the, if you're paying other people the resource, you can get in their way, but it's not entirely a bad thing because they're still getting something. There is, yeah, a uniquely negative thing to put in there, and definitely like there's been people's replies that are like, oh, I've put it in a place and that's messed me up later. Like that's like I've thought that it was going to mess the other player up, but I ended up going there and it cost me more money. Yeah, there is that potential for it, but the purpose of it, the reason for that existing in the game, is for you to sit there thinking, how can I get in the other player's way the most? And yeah, that's completely the opposite of what I want from a game, what I'm thinking about in a game. I don't want to spend a second of a game thinking about how this is going to mess you up the most. I want to just build my thing up. You're still inevitably doing your own things, you're going to get in each other's way. It's probably needed because the board is like, well, the villages are the same. There's the same number of tradespeople. I think the routes are the same. Is the only difference on the sides of the boards just that the round counter for solo? Because this is the solo side of the board. it's the same size place for 4 players or 2 players. So I can see how it needs like some tightening of stuff up to get like a similar experience, but I would rather play the looser game without any of that than have that to think about. Like just something where it would um it would just move by itself on some regimented path, move randomly. I don't like the sound of because yeah, that could mess up one person more than another. But yeah, I don't like that basically. And so I think it's going to come down to more than anything. Like we love Glass Road so much. Between us, we don't really like the paying other people to be in places. I'm not as fussed, but yeah, collectively it's a problem. And we both completely for 2 players hate this and wouldn't be playing with the neutral marker. So like as clever as that, like that's a big plus of I think I said at the start of the stream, right? That like when I saw that it was going to be so many buildings out in the front, I thought, oh no, like this is one of the things I didn't like about Caverna, that you sit down for the first time and okay, here's 60 buildings you can build, and then in the future, oh they're gonna be there every game. Like this changes that up that 10 of them are going to be different every game, but also segments them into like a benefit, like a resource it involves, like that it's going to get you that thing, or like having it is going to get you other stuff, and that's like true for the resources, but for the cattle for like end game points and stuff, it's really well done in that bit. And yeah, the buildings themselves are going to be very different. But I wonder, like the solo, I've much preferred to the 3 player because yeah, it's that all the times when you're paying the extra resource to be in places, you've done that to yourself. And there's no need for a neutral meeple because you've got in your own way. You've blocked your own spots up. And yeah, it's a nice puzzle trying to go through a path like you. It's easier for you to do in a way because you know that another person isn't going to build that thing ahead of you. Like you're not both going to be shooting for the same thing. Whereas like I imagine in a 4 player game, there's more as well. There's one more 3 building, right, is available. But yeah, so like solo's probably been preferred, but yeah, it's kind of like the combination of the neutral worker and our everlasting love for Glass Road, which is like it is quite similar to like the choosing the pair and stuff is very nice and a different kind of thing, but the things that they tend to do and the buildings and getting the chains of them, like it's got that Glass Road feel, and like not just the resource wheels, but the tightness of your estates and building and getting rid of the forest and stuff to be able to put down things. Like yeah, like it's not so similar that it's like a duplicate, but I don't get the things that were said kind of before it came out of why do people keep saying Glass Road? It's only got the wheels, everything else is completely different. I think it's more similar than that. It's not identical, but it's got more similarities than like you might want to say. But yeah, I think kind of am I gonna play this over like Glass Road isn't as good solo as this. Like this is more puzzly and you're getting in your own way and stuff, whereas like you're limited by the cards that you can play in Glass Road. No one else is going to play cards in solo, but you can play a different amount every round. So like the card system's still there, but the multiplayer tension of am I going to get to play these things? Am I going to get to play them in the order that I want? Am I going to get any bonuses from you guys playing cards? That's missing from the solo, which is kind of the heart of Glass Road. So it works, but it's not as good. Whereas this kind of like it's still got all of the kind of planning and puzzle. No one else is getting in your way. You just get it in your own way. So like, yeah, I would prefer this for solo, I think. But I don't know how many times I would just pick this over, like say, Agricola or Nussfjord once I get in that. Like, yeah, I wonder how much I would go back to Black Forest. I'm thinking that it's probably not going to stick around just because Glass Road exists, and maybe even because Glass Road got in there like early. But I think it's still a pretty unique thing that like this does some of those things. And again, like if you hated the card thing in Glass Road, and you can give it a go on Board Game Arena if you want to find out. Well, it's not the same as playing it. None of them are the same as playing it in person, but playing it like asynchronously with a lot of players like we did, just it taking so much longer takes away from it as well. Whereas Glass Road is like a two-player game of Glass Road, another great big plus for it. This is kind of speedy, but a two-player game of Glass Road is like half an hour or less, and it's so like involved and interesting in that time. I can't remember like this. I've been chatting and stuff. What were we doing in like an hour and 20, something like that? Like you could get a solo game of this in about like 45 minutes probably. All the time is you sitting there thinking. But like our first three-player game, it probably wasn't like probably was about 2 hours, something like that. Like it would get faster, so it's still a speedy one, but not as speedy as Glass Road, and not as different. So yeah, I think like not to be too moany about it, but for us anyway, it's Glass Road all the way. But hey, that's Black Forest. It was next up on the votes. Next after this, I think. Let me go and check on Patreon. Hey, patreon.com/slickerdrips if you'd like to support the channel. This is not a sponsored video. I can only do this thanks to the support of my patrons. Let me find the vote extravaganza with all the Essen games in it. Unless it's changed, it was Unconscious Mind last time I looked. Yes, Unconscious Mind is next up. Unless that changes between now and next week, that is what I'm going to be streaming probably next Friday. Hey James, Fields of Olive favourite, but Nusfield Big Box just arrived. Yeah, Fields of Olive I love as well. Like, it's another like very different thing and like sandboxy and stuff. I wonder, like, I'm Fields of Olive is getting into the because I've got to start being really harsh for various reasons on the space that my games are taking up, and Fields of Olive is one that I'm tempted to move on, just because like in the Uves already, Mercator I'm not getting rid of. Are they all grouped together? Hallertau, I'm not. Feast for Odin, I'm not. Nusfjord, no. Although, probably to get the big box edition. Hey, my microphone's appearing if I go in that direction. Lo Yang, I'm keeping. Glass Road, I'm keeping. There's probably another couple hiding away somewhere. But yeah, like, out of all of them, Fields of All is... that, and that's another one as well. Like, solo, love it. Like, two-player, wasn't it fun? Whereas, like, she loves Glass Road, Lo Yang... Nusfjord, Feast for Odin. I don't know. It's a bit like enjoyed it, but maybe a bit long. Agricola doesn't like, but like that's one of the ones where like sometimes it's just like, oh, one of us really doesn't like it. Maybe get rid of that because how often is it going to get played? But no, there's certain games where like Agricola, Gallerist, they break those rules because I love them enough. Solar. But yeah, it's another one where it's like I want to keep all of these things. They're all so good. It's been like for ages now. We're into the period of the games that you kind of like. Oh, do I remember these things? Do I want all of this stuff? They could go to the GridCon auction. There's a lot of stuff in the GridCon auction though, and Tom doesn't make enough money. Tom has some not worrying, but uh, future big expenditures on the way. But I think you can get all the Fields of All. Like when I got Fields of All back about 3 or 4 years ago, I think the Tea and Trade was still out of print. But I don't think it is now. I think I had to get the Tea and Trade from America, which was pricey. But yeah, I think those ones. I think Mercator as well is. I've done a couple of things for Mercator, haven't I? Like if you haven't seen Mercator, that's the one worth checking out. That's been out of print for as long as I've been playing games now, which is like 10 or 11 years. Like it was never that pricey though, out of print, but it wasn't like reaching crazy prices because I don't think the vast majority of people are that bothered about it. But I think that's a very different and cool Uwe game as well. like managing time and doing shipments and things, trying to get progressively more complicated shipments to do this ultimate difficult one to win the game. I think there must be like I'm forgetting an Uve somewhere, and I don't know which one it is. I don't know. There's probably been others that have not made the cut ultimately. But yeah, it's getting to that point with things where like the same designer can make vastly different things, but in like being really harsh with I need to get rid of these piles of things. He says as he's getting games from Essen and bought myself games to pick up at GridCon and had a big game for my birthday. But yeah, in between that, I'm trying to make it all fit and cut down. Like part of it is like yeah, all of those Essen things have arrived, and there's like prototypes and stuff everywhere because like it seems to be like it's always kind of launch season, isn't it? But yeah, some amazing things are coming up and about. Like I'll have to look into. I'm really got into it about timeless journeys as well. Like it seemed like it was doing well when last I looked, and that's another like really cool and different thing. Nestor Mangione is one of the co-designers, but like a kind of lighter, not light experience. But yeah, I wonder what's going to like check, look in, subscribe for the future into that. Not just to my channel, but like follow on Kickstarter and stuff, and check out my overview of it because yeah, I thought it was really cool and different as well, like a different kind of theme that it really fit with. I'm just rambling now, but it's nice to have a little ramble about games, isn't it? From time to time, I do get to do a lot, but yeah, like we're in that the explosion of things from Essen time has led to even more of a desperate. You've just filled the living room with these stacks of games, and you had a problem before. You need to cut it. You need to get it sorted back out. But how can you when everything's so good? It's rough, innit? That's why, like, sometimes with things, I have to be like, it's like harsh and trying to be dismissive of things at Essen, but then some things that I'd kind of dismissed actually when I saw them, like, oh no, I've misjudged you. But yeah, the things that have been around for a while, like, and we have that's kind of happened over the years as well. Like with all this new cool stuff, you don't tend to go back, or we don't tend to go back to as many older things. But we have like it has happened with a few things that you're just like, oh, going back like that was probably a couple of years ago now, or 1 year ago at least. Like we played Brussels 1863, which like used to be one that I really enjoyed, and like another different kind of thing. But when we played it again, we're like, oh, this is way too mean now. Like it seemed maybe like a bit mean, and we wouldn't do all of that stuff when we played it like 8, 9 years ago. But now that's a kind of factor as well of like whenever anybody brings up Care Bear things like the neutral worker in this, like, oh, that's so like tame and you're not actually stealing stuff from each other and stuff. But yeah, it's the actual. There's so many games now without that, or with positive interaction where like you are giving someone something that like you are like say like worker bumping where like the other person like Galactic Cruise that are at a demo of at Essen, like worker bumping is such a cool worker placement thing. Worker placement's good anyway for the spots running out, but what if the spots didn't run out? But you can go there if you want, but you're gonna give the other person like a little bonus from their income thing. Like it's not coming particularly from you, but yeah, are you gonna wait for them to clear out, or do you want to give them that extra thing? There's like there's so many positive ways around it, and like it's weird in a game like without any other elements like that to suddenly have, and only at 2 players to have like such a negative thing introduced to it as well is like seems very jarring and out of nowhere. And yeah, it exists to tighten the thing up, but it seems like an unnecessarily aggressive thing to put in there. But hey, yeah, that's it for now then. So we'll be playing Unconscious Mind next week. What is coming up? Already yesterday, you saw an overview I've done for Ether Spire. That will be going up actually tonight. On the main channel as well, because that's on Kickstarter now from Phase Shift Games, who have published Dungeon Drop and Drop Drive and other things as well, but they're the ones that I've covered in the expansion for Dungeon Drop. We're not dropping things this time. We're building up towers to try and defend against these elemental monsters that are invading us. It's a really cool and again different and imaginative co-op. I've done an overview for that that'll be going up soon. I've done playthroughs or like prototype playthroughs of the first couple of bits from a game called Storyfold Wildwoods, which is a new series that Open Owl Studios are making, who've previously done Stars Vicarious and Mythwind. This is a completely different solo narrative game that does like kind of actions and tests and monsters getting in the way of those tests in a really cool way. They will be coming up on Patreon next week, and it'll be launching in the near future as well. And I'll be working on other stuff in the background next week. Like we've got some personal things to do, but also I think World Order will be coming up at some point soon. Yeah, there's a load of stuff to do. I'm panicking a little bit about time and things, but it'll get done, won't it? It always does usually. There's so much cool stuff coming up as well, like Clans of Caledonia. How long has it been since we've played that? There's an expansion coming. It's here. It's happening. It's going to be on Kickstarter, but it's on the horizon now. It's soon. Yeah, there's great things, and that pile of Essen games. I gotta balance the stuff. Thank you everyone so much for being here, helping me out. Like that score is ours. That's probably not a record score. People have probably smashed that already if you look on the forums. I'd like people to be able to come up with solo challenges for this as well, like they do with Glass Road, like having particular configurations flipped over and fours and stuff. We have to have a configuration of the things as well. That's the other thing with like all the building stuff. It's nice the variability on the other sides and stuff. It's a bit of a pain setting them out. Like they need to be in this order and stuff. That's a little thing as well. Like the much more egregious setup things in games, but it's a bit of a pain as well. Are you gonna watch Civolution, James? That's Civolution. I don't have like there's a couple of like potentially aggressive things in there, but Civolution is so good. I think it was all last week as well, because I was gearing up for the playthrough and it was kind of out, whether it was downstairs or up here. I played Civolution about 8 times last week. Like I thought yesterday actually, I haven't played it all week. It's felt weird because I played it so many times last week. It's so good. It's absolutely going to be in my top 10 of the year. How high it's going to be will be interesting to work out, because there's been some amazing things this year, and there's things like on the cusp of arriving. Like I know Galactic Cruise is next year now, Elder Scrolls is next year now, Freedom 5 exists. People in America that backed it, some people, it's starting to arrive. People have it. There are pictures. I think it's going to arrive in the European delivery center Halloween, I think they said. So like maybe I need to book some things in to put on the GridCon schedule. I don't think it's going to be here in time for GridCon, but it could be here in time for GridCon, and it's all I'd want to play. I'm so excited about it. Like I've been going on about it for years and years now. In the face of like, I've done this with a few other games in the past that took a while over schedule. Everything ends up over schedule, but yeah, this did go a few years over schedule. Like you just gotta like, I know that Kickstarters have gone wrong and bad things have been done and bad decisions have been made, but generally things are going wrong with people trying their hardest. That like progress is still being made. It might still be slow, but it's going to happen. And Freedom 5, hopefully, like it's arriving with people. It exists. Hopefully my copy's going to be with me, because I backed it all those years ago as well. Like I want to be vindicated that you just got to believe it's going to happen and it's going to be great. Co-op, like Sentinels the Multiverse characters, but it's kind of like it's adapted from Defenders of the Realm. So Richard Launius and the Sadler brothers designed it. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited. There's other stuff as well. There's loads of Essen games I haven't played, but yeah, Freedom 5 is a big one for me. But Civolution is, I'm sure, going to be in that top 10. I said I was going into, but let's just chat more about games. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and I will see you soon in pre-recorded form. Bye everyone. Bye, bye, bye.